Alright, so I'm cooking dinner. I've got a little while. This is going to take some time. Let me grab my notes. We'll go ahead and get my storylines video knocked out here. So, let me see. Yeah, we'll do this one the same way we have been. I'll do worst, and then I'll do best. Number 3 for the worst storylines, Vince getting blown up. This one, I didn't believe it when it happened, but the big part of this one is Chris Benoit dies. The night after this supposedly happens to Vince, Raw starts with a living Vince standing in the center of the ring, and he explains what happened. So, even though the storyline didn't really start off believable for me, not seeing what would have happened really made this one more memorable, and it definitely makes the worst 3. Number 2, the end of the Austin Hit and Run investigation. Rikishi, I'm a Rikishi fan, but him being the one that ran down Stone Cold, even though he did it under orders from Triple H, there were just so many better prospects in my mind that could have actually been the one to do this. I don't remember if he was paid by Triple H to try to kill Stone Cold, or if they deliberately only hurt him, or if he did it for a title shot. I don't remember exactly what the motivation and the goal of this was. I just remember that it isn't one of the storylines that I really enjoyed watching. Up until it was revealed that Rikishi did it, I was fascinated. I wanted to know who did it. And then it was just kind of anticlimactic with him being the one that actually drove the car. Number 1, we've all heard it. Worst storylines ever. Mostly because this one had the potential to be way up here, and it was performed and carried out down around this region right about here. And for those of you who have been following for a while, you've probably already guessed that I'm talking about the WCW ECW invasion. What Culture Wrestling has already done a how this should have been handled. I don't really want to go up against those guys. They I don't think I could do it better than they did. If you guys don't check out if you don't already subscribe to What Culture, check them out. They do all kinds of other great WWE related videos. They've also got their own wrestling events going on now. They've started their own show, their own brand, and definitely worth checking out. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, if I do go in depth into the invasion, that will be the one that I get James on the phone for. Him and I will go through, and this is what should have been done. This is what we wanted to see. This is what we think is wrong with what actually happened. I'm going to set you guys down for a minute. I got to take care of this food here for a second. I'm going to keep talking, though. We're going to move on to our best 3 storylines. Number 3 is Bray Wyatt. Ever since the Wyatt family appeared on the scene, we've all been fascinated by him. Whether it's in a good way or whether we go, holy shit, this guy's creepy and I don't want him to come near me. Everybody in the universe has an opinion on Bray Wyatt now. And I know I'm not the only one who's curious to see if they'll bring in Sister Abigail and who that might be. I know there were rumors at one point that they were looking at Paige to be Sister Abigail in the background. Still waiting, but I'm not losing interest in this at all. And that's one of the reasons that it's really one of my top 3, is because it's still fascinating me. Number 2 on storylines was Randy Orton and the McMahons. Watching him punting the boss, spiking Stephanie, it was getting to see Randy embrace the Viper and really become the apex predator of the WWE. And that is a big part of why it's my number 2. Because without this storyline, I don't know if we get the Viper. And I really, really like the Viper. So this is definitely one of my favorites, watching him become more like what he is now. He's even more dangerous now, but watching the evolution really happen in front of us was just really, really entertaining. And that's why Orton and the McMahons, that, and like I said, watching Stephanie get the spike DDT right in front of a handcuffed Triple H. Yeah, anybody who injures or anything bad that happens to Stephanie, that goes toward the top of my favorite list. I'm not a fan of her on screen. So that brings us to number 1. This one, there's no arguing it for me. There's no saying, listen, this storyline is actually better than the one that you think. Because of my reasons for this one. My reasons for my number 1 storyline pick are that I still don't know if it was actually a skit or if it was real. I know a lot of people who still say that was actually happening. It was a real thing, real life happening, and it got out of hand. Not that it was a planned thing. WWE has said it was a planned thing. Stone Cold has said that it was a planned thing. Brian Pillman said he didn't actually plan on shooting Stone Cold, and the gun had blanks in it. I don't know. I honestly don't know if it was real or not. I think maybe it's just because he's so convincing at his part, but I think Brian might have actually been crazy enough to shoot Stone Cold on camera. And that's one of the arguments I get. Well, if it was real, why would Brian let the cameraman stay in the house if he was planning to shoot Stone Cold? And I'm like, did you see how crazy Brian Pillman was about this whole thing? Yeah, I really, I'm not sure whether or not this was acted, scripted, or if WWE and Brian and Stone Cold did a cover your ass kind of thing and said, no, this was planned the entire time. I really don't know. Watching it, it is extremely intense and believable. So if it was scripted, then all the more reason for it to be at the top of the list. Because this is one that most fans who saw it or have seen it still aren't 100% sure on. And that is why, and not to mention, it's another one that even people who don't know wrestling saw on the news where the show had to cut, the network took the cameras to black and the gunshot happened, and people who don't know wrestling have heard about this. So really, given that I don't think any of us will ever really be sure it wasn't attempted murder, I have to go with this one for number one. So that's the end of that. That's kind of weird, isn't it? The attempted murder is number one on my list. I might have to do some like deep self-searching, cause yeah. Anyway, so my best and worst videos are all done. I'll knock out I'll just finish up the shout-outs here. I already mentioned What Culture Wrestling and the kind of stuff they're doing. That was one of them. The other one I'd like to give a shout-out to, I can't pick a favorite match from Lucha Underground. These videos are specifically WWE. I have seen so many great matches from the talent at Lucha Underground. I can't choose a favorite. If you guys aren't watching this, you really should be. It's not just great wrestling and talented people. The storylines are more like movies than you get with WWE. They do a lot of I think the most recent one that I was paying attention to, the owner of the company was wanted by the police for murder because he killed one of his employees. Yeah, Lucha Underground is definitely deserving of a shout out. I really only have one dishonorable mention also. Like I said, this is WWE specific. There's a match that definitely goes on my list of worst matches. It's not WWE though. TNA's Final Deletion match is almost at the level of the Brock Goldberg match for me. Really, the biggest difference is I've found some people who enjoyed Final Deletion. They can see the appeal. If you're one of them, I'm not going to call you damaged. Explain to me what the appeal is for you. I might be brought around to see the appeal of this match myself. Brock Goldberg, if you tell me that match had its merits, then I want to share whatever you're smoking. So, yeah, there's no saving that one. Anyway, I'm not going into it. Not doing it. We'll wind up with another half-hour-long rant if I continue to think about that. So yeah, What Culture Wrestling, great work going on over there. Lucha, always entertaining for me. Final Deletion, not the worst I've ever seen, but I wonder what the fuck they were thinking. So, let me see. I still haven't gotten a hold of James about doing the Invasion video. I think I'll do that after I finish this one. If we wind up doing that tonight, I'll probably wait and post it tomorrow. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to record a new video tomorrow. Put out quite a few today. You guys are probably already sick of me. So yeah, if him and I decide to do that, and if we can get John from JD Films included too. I really don't think he watched it, so for us to educate him it'll help with anybody who also isn't aware of what a flop the invasion was. Yeah, I'll find out from him. I'm going to finish up dinner here, and it'll probably be a couple days before I see you again. But everybody be safe, have a good one, and I'm out. Bye, guys.